Right. Hi, everybody. This is Megan McShane from Intera Health, and this is session 4 of Explore Exercise. We're cruising along with these coaching exercises, so hopefully you are getting something out of them, hopefully well on your way into a good routine. Once again, as always, if you need any support or assistance throughout this process, feel free to reach out to me either via email or by phone. I'm always here to support you if needed. Today's plan is we're going to talk about an acronym called FIT. It's frequency, intensity, time, and type. We'll get a little bit more into kind of really, impacting the effort that you're putting into your exercises. We all want results, and I want to make sure we're doing the right combination of each of these 4 areas to make sure you are getting the most bang for your buck. So to help us understand where that comes from, we'll kind of go into each one of these categories. The first one is frequency. How often are you active? So we'll kind of break these into different areas for those beginners, for those more experienced people, just to kind of give you a gauge of where you should be in as far as FIT goes. So for everyone, obviously start slowly and gradually, but try to be active for 5 or more days of the week. I think this is a really good goal to work up to and have that be your regular frequency. For beginners, hey, start with 2 to 3 days of activity, maybe 1 day during the week and 1 day on the weekend, and see how you can impact that to get up to the 5 or more days a week. For those more experienced people, continue with that aerobic activity 5+ days a week if you can get up to 6, ensuring that you have that rest day in between there. And then for the strength training component, having those 2 days of that as well on non-consecutive days. So maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, that type of thing, to ensure that you don't have 2 strength training days in 1 week, back to back. The next one is intensity. How hard are your heart and your muscles working? So for everyone, make sure you have your warm-up to make sure your muscles are warmed up, and your cool down to at the end of your routine to make sure that your muscles are cooled down, and having that stretch for both of those components. If you can be active at a moderate intensity, so for some of us, that's a brisk walk. For other people, it may be a little bit more like a jog, but that moderate intensity is what you want to shoot for. And I do want to note, if you are having trouble catching your breath, you're not able to speak with a few words, or if you're having troubles breathing, please slow down. And for those more experienced people, to build your intensity for aerobic exercise, increase the speed, increase your incline if you're on a treadmill, or your resistance if you're on a stationary piece of equipment like a bike or an elliptical, that type of thing. And another way to build intensity for those more experienced people who are working out is to add weight for strength. All right, this is another good gauge to use for intensity. It's called a perceived exertion index chart. Kind of reminds me of those charts that you see in the doctor's offices that have the smiley faces or the frowny faces, depending on your level of pain. Well, don't equate this to pain necessarily, because hopefully you don't have pain working out, but this is a good kind of gauge to use when you are working out, to kind of say, hey, this is where I'm at. So if you can kind of get into those specific areas, depending on what type of exercise you're doing, if you're not tired at all, it's really easy. Maybe working up to, being tired or really tired, or if you're at that place of I can't go anymore, hopefully you're at the very end of your exercise routine, or make sure you're not going too extreme with your exercises at that point. A good way to kind of evaluate your intensity is to check your ability to breathe and talk. So you should be able to breathe fairly comfortably and rhythmically throughout all phases of your workout to ensure that you're being safe and you're comfortable with the level of exercise you're choosing, especially if you're in the beginning phases of working out. You should be able to talk continuously, completing short sentences with no problem. If you can't carry on a conversation, chances are you're probably working too hard and to kind of dial it back a little bit. And while you should challenge yourself, use this gauge to monitor your ability. This is a good chart to kind of keep in mind as you're focused on your intensity. All right, the next area is time. How long are you active? So for everyone, try to stay active for at least 10 minutes without stopping. And remember, some activity is better than none. So if you're starting out, get in a few minutes and build up to that 10 minutes. But for most everyone, try for at least 10 minutes to really gain the most benefit from exercise. Aim for at least a total of 30 minutes throughout the day. And if you are focusing on weight loss, you will want to increase that to about 60 minutes per day. Set a goal for the week based on a total minutes of exercise or physical activity. So, looking at 7 days of your week, how can you, set aside the time to get that exercise in to ensure that you are getting enough for the week. And just also note that there's really no time goals for strength training, but to kind of focus on more of the overall muscle group. So if you're working on your upper arms, making sure you're getting your upper body, making sure you're getting all the muscle groups in your arms, chest, shoulders, that type of thing. And once again, you should be stretching before and after any activity, and making sure that you have that cool down time dedicated to your workout as well. Type is what you are doing. Last session, we talked about the different types of exercise. We went into the cardiovascular or the aerobic. That is exercise that you're working, your heart is beating faster. So different cardio is biking, dancing, swimming, walking. Strength is functional exercises like chopping and carrying wood or lifting weights, and then flexibility is stretching or yoga. And those are an important to note that you should be mixing those up and having enough of each of those areas throughout your week. All right, and I do want to mention a few things before we wrap up. Find a fitness routine that works for you. I know last session, I challenged you to kind of find an exercise routine that maybe isn't something that you normally go to, or one that you would find to be beneficial for you. Something that is maybe thinking outside the box for what you think exercise is. So I think that's a really good way to kind of keep in mind what exercise can be. Whatever works best for you, your lifestyle, and your fitness routine. Remember, anything you do as far as exercise is progress, and that is moving yourself forward towards your goals. One other area to kind of mention is exercise that is structured versus non-structured. So structured exercise is really something that you kind of, set aside time to do these activities. It may include going to the gym or going for a run or walk outside, attending an aerobics class, or lifting weights. So that's definitely something that you should set aside some time. It's purposeful and it's structured. The other part is the non-structured activities, and these are really things that we do for the remaining, waking hours of our day to keep our bodies moving as much as possible. It's done, you can be walking your dog, taking the stairs, parking further away from a store, or just walking throughout your day in the office building. Those are non-structured, and to have a good combination of both of those is really going to be the biggest benefit for you as you move forward towards your fitness goals. Okay, that's all I have for you this session. For a session recap for credit, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how you feel you are falling into the fit category. How frequently are you exercising? What's your intensity normally at? What type do you gravitate towards? And how much time are you dedicating to exercise? And then I want to touch base on your SMART goals. How are they going? Which ones are you working on, and which ones may you be struggling with? So tell me how things are going. And then next session, we'll talk about overcoming barriers and injuries, and that will be our last session. Okay, guys, thanks for participating. We'll talk to you next time.